we shall move to Act 3, Scene 2. This is a scene set in Belmont. In a room in Portia's house. So this is a scene which takes the cascade story to its climax. Bassanio, helped by music, chooses the right cascade, that is the Leaden cascade, and wins Portia. Greciano follows him and tells about his passionate love for Nerissa and also hopes to marry her. The loss of Antonio's ships announced by Lorenzo, Jessica and Salario comes as a thunderbolt to the happy atmosphere of Belmont, the residence of Portia. The news that Antonio is almost reduced to bankruptcy baffles Bassanio, and Portia loses no time in discussion and asks Bassanio to leave for Venice at once with money to save Antonio's life. So here we shall go to the scene in detail. So here we have Bassanio, Portia, Greciano, Nerissa and all their followers. So first, Portia says to Bassanio, I beg you to delay for a day or 2 days before you make the choice, because if you choose wrongly, I will have lost you forever. So, something, though it is not love, tells me not to lose you, and you know very well that hate does not give such an advice. But in case if you misunderstand me, after all, a maiden has no other choice to speak, to think, to imagine the things which she cannot speak about, and it would be good that if you stay here a month or 2 before you take the risk for me, before you make the venture for me. I could have told you which is the right cascade, but then I shall have broken my oath that is a thing I shall never do. So, and she tells Bassanio, may your eyes be confounded, and they have cast a spell on me and divided me, and one half of me is yours and the other half is mine. Since it is mine, then even that other half is yours, so all of me is yours. And she refers this time as evil times, because they place obstacles between the owners and their possessions. So, but though all of me is yours, but I am not at yours. So, if it is proved that I cannot be yours, then let the fortune be done for it, not I. Then, so she also adds that I am speaking so much just because I want to draw out the time, spread it out and prolong it to the fullest, so that Bassanio, I can hold you back from making the choice. Bassanio tells Portia that let me make the choice because I am living in a huge torment. Then Portia tells him, if you are being tormented, then there must be some other treasonable fault mingled with your love. Yes, that is none other than that ugly feeling of doubt which makes me fear that I cannot enjoy my love. So there could not be any friendship between snow and fire any more than there could be between cheating and love. So Portia says that you are speaking the words which are drawn from torture, as if you are forced to confess anything. So Bassanio tells Portia, if you promise my life, I shall confess you the truth. So Portia tells, well, then confess and you can live. Bassanio tells that confess and love. So these are the very substance of his confession. So, and he also wonders, oh blessed torture, when my torturer teaches me the answers which are to liberate me, which are to make me free, then let me go to the cascades to try my luck. Portia takes Bassanio to the cascades. I come aware then, she tells to Bassanio, my portrait is locked in one of them, in one of the 3 cascades, and if you truly love me, you shall find the right one. Then she asks Nerissa and all others to stand aside, and she asks the music to be played by Bassanio makes his choice. So the music is played, and if Bassanio fails to choose the right cascade, he dies as the swan dies, fading away in music, that the music shall become silent. He shall die as the swan dies, and that the comparison should be more complete. Her eyes, Portia's eyes, will be full of tears, and that shall be like a stream for the swan to die. So here comes another Elizabethan belief that swan is a bird which sings only once, just before its death, and it is always mute, and it sings beautiful songs just immediately before its death, and it dies by drowning itself in the water. So here, if Bassanio fails, then he shall die as a swan dies, and Portia's eyes full of tears shall serve as a stream for the swan. So then, if Bassanio succeeds to choose the right cascade, then what shall be the music? So it shall be the flourish of trumpets, and as when the loyal subjects go down before a crowned ruler, and it will be like the sweet sounds which wake up a bridegroom from his dreamy morning and tell that it is his marriage day. So now Bassanio goes with no less dignity and much more love than did the youthful Hercules in Greek mythology when he saved a virgin who was offered as a sacrifice by the weeping people of Troy to a sea monster. So Bassanio goes with no less love than went the youthful Hercules to save a virgin, that is Hesione. It comes in Greek mythology. So here, who is the Hesione in this case? So that is none other than Portia. And the Hercules is of course Bassanio. And the weeping people of Troy are other people who are standing there, that is Nerissa, Gratiano, and all of their followers. And Portia tells that she stands here like, I am standing here like Hesione, who was offered as a sacrifice, and all the Trojan women, that is their attendants, are standing with tear-stained faces to see the result. So she tells, go forward, my Hercules. Then if you live, I live. I watch the test with much more nervousness than you who have to perform it. So a song is sung, the music is played, a song is sung. In the meanwhile, Bassanio considers the inscriptions of the cascade. So what's the song about? Let us see. The song is, tell me, where is love born? Is it in the heart or in the head? How is it born? How is it nourished? It originates in the eyes. It is fed with loving glances. It dies in the eyes where it was born. So let us all sound for love of the funeral bell. And I shall begin it ding dong bell, and everyone repeat ding dong bell. So here's Bassanio's opinion about the three cascades. So he tells, often outer appearances do not have real truth. The world of man is always deceived by the ornamental things. In a law of court, a case is bad and dishonest may be pleaded in an eloquent voice which can even cover the face of the evil. In religion, no sin is so bad but someone with a grave face will support it and will quote a text from scripture to justify it and hides the badness of it. And even the most simple vice, even the most wicked behavior has some outer resemblance of virtue. Even the most wicked behavior has some outer resemblance of goodness. So how many cowards as hearts, as unreliable, how many cowards have hearts? Cowards are nothing no one but who lack in courage. How many cowards have heart as unreliable as the stairway built of sand? So you cannot imagine walking on the stairway built of sand. So as unreliable as a stairway built of sand, wave their chin beards like those of great Hercules and the stone-faced Mars. But when you examine them deeply, when you examine them inwardly, they are cowards, white as milk, lacking in courage, and they can only show the outward bravery, but lack in courage, and of course they can only show the bravery outward. So he gives an example. Consider beauty. Here, beauty can be bought by weight, but that makes contradiction in nature, because who weighs the most of its purchased beauty are the lightest. So it is the same with curly, winding golden hair running on forehead of a beautiful woman. But later we come to know that these hair which are curling on the forehead of a beautiful girl, they are often taken from a skull on which they grew, that the skull is lying in a tomb. So adornments can be looked upon as a treacherous shore which is covering or which is bounding a dangerous sea, and a lovely scarf covering a dusky face. So in short, appearance of truth put forward by crafty people deceives even the wisest. So showy gold, I'll have nothing to do with you, which King Midas could not eat. So after this he concludes about the cascades that, O showy gold, which King Midas could not eat, I will have nothing to do with you, nor with you who are silver ordinary slave, who passes from man to man. But I choose you, O lead of little value, who seem to threaten rather than to promise anything. The blunt message of this leaden cascade moves him more than any eloquent words can do, and therefore he chooses it, and he wishes the result may be joyful. So Portia, after Prince of Aragon chose the silver cascade and he could not find Portia's portrait in it, Portia and Nerissa and all others came to know that her portrait lies in the leaden cascade. So Portia wishes aside that now may all your doubts, emotions, your fear evaporate into the air, and she's feeling very, very glad now. So therefore she prays, O God of love, so please calm my strong emotion, please reduce this excess of happiness, please reduce this excess of bliss, or I'm feeling your gift, because I'm feeling your gift very strongly, so make it less, otherwise I would die from this excess of bliss. So Bassanio opens the leaden cascade, and what does he find there? Fair Portia's portrait. What semi-divine artist has closely approached the God's work of creating? Here, looking at the portrait, he says, do the eyes move? Or since my eyeballs are moving, they seem to be that even they are moving with my eyes. So, her lips are slightly apart, the action of her sweet breath, and this breath is a sweet partition to separate any two such sweet friends. So here, and the golden hair, in painting the golden hair, the painter has worked like a spider, making a golden web to capture the hearts of men faster than gnats are captured by cobwebs. Then Bassanio wonders how the painter was able to paint her eyes, because when he had painted one, it should have had the power to steal both of his eyes, leaving Portia's portrait's eye without an ear. Then, so though he is praising this portrait so much, but still this portrait falls short of the original. That is the beautiful Portia. So there is also a scroll written for Bassanio. So let's see what the scroll contains. The scroll says that, you who have not chosen by the eye alone, may you always be fortunate like this, and true as you. So since this fortune has fallen to your lot, be satisfied and ask for nothing other. So if you are well pleased with this, and you look upon your fortune as your happiness, then turn to where your lady is waiting for you and bestow a loving kiss upon her. So Bassanio says this is a beautiful writing and asks the fair lady Portia permission to come as directed and give a kiss and to receive one. So he wonders that he is like the two competitors who are competing for a prize, and he thinks that he has done well in the eyes of the spectators because he is listening huge applause and general shout, but he is still giddy with excitement as to whether these applause and shouts are they for him. So therefore he asks Portia to confirm it. Portia tells Bassanio, you see me, my lord, as I stand here. As far as my own desire, I don't want anything else. I could not wish anything else, and I could not wish anything better. but for your sake I wish that I might be 3 times 20 as now I am, and 1,000 times more beautiful and 10,000 times more rich. I wish that only to stand high in your opinion, I will defy all the description, I will refuse to obey all the description in virtues, in beauty, in property and in friends. But the sum total of myself is that I am an inexperienced girl, untrained and unadapted, unaccustomed in life. So, but at this point she is happy because she is not yet too, Portia says that at this point I am happy because I am not yet too old to learn, but even happier because she is not so slow of nature to learn, and the happiest because she is entrusting her spirit to Bassanio's spirit, that is her lord, her governor and her king. So Portia adds that myself and all that is mine, I transfer it to you. A moment ago, I was the owner of this huge mansion, mistress over all my servants, and monarch of my own body and soul. And now all that is mine is yours, Lord Bassanio. And along with that, she gives him a ring and asks never to part with it or lose it or give it away. If Bassanio gives it away, then it would be a sign that Bassanio's love for Portia has been dead and he will be accused for doing so. Then Bassanio tells that Portia's words has left him speechless. He is not in a condition to answer him, but only the blood that is flowing in his veins is answering. So there is the same confusion in his bodily faculties as there comes a confusion in the mob after a speech of a king or of a prince. So there are many feelings that Bassanio is feeling right now, but we can conclude that all these feelings blend into one feeling, that is the pure joy. So but he is not able to express it, and he also adds that if this ring that you have given to me, if it leaves my finger, then it would be only when life has left me. Then you can make your venture safely to say that Bassanio is dead. So here Nerissa congratulates Bassanio and Portia on their success and wishes them good joy. And even Gratiano wishes the same. And then he adds something another. So let's see what is that. Gratiano begs Bassanio to allow him also to be married at the same time. Bassanio, okay, most certainly, provided you are able to secure your wife. Gratiano says that, yes, I thank you for having brought one for me. My eyes were as swift as your eyes to recognize beauty. You saw the mistress and I looked upon the maid. Just as quickly you loved, so did I. So now a period of waiting is no more welcome to me than to you. So your destiny depended upon the choice of caskets, and so did the mine as the matter stood. So here he is expressing his love for Nerissa and hopes to marry her. So Portia asks Nerissa, is it true? Nerissa tells that, yeah madam, it is true if you are pleased by it. Then Bassanio tells that, Bassanio asks Gratiano, do you hope to marry this lady in a good faith? Then Gratiano replies, yes my lord. Then Bassanio tells, then your marriage ceremonies shall also be celebrated with our marriage ceremonies. So after this, so here comes the thunderbolt to the happy atmosphere of Belmont. Gratiano tells Lorenzo and his Jewess are coming, and there is also a Venetian friend Salario who is coming. So after this, three members enter the scene: Lorenzo, Jessica, Salario. Salario we had discussed in the character analysis that Salario is a messenger from Venice who brings Antonia's letter to Belmont. So Bassanio welcomes Lorenzo and all other, and by Portia's permission, then Salario gives a letter to Bassanio. Bassanio asks Salario, so before I open this letter, please tell me how my dear friend is, how my good friend is. So Salario tells that, not sick my lord unless it is in his mind. So but this letter will inform you of his condition. So Gratiano asks Nerissa to be courteous to Jessica, and then of course Gratiano tells that you might be happy hearing to the news of our success. We are like the modern Thracians who have won the Golden Fleece. So Golden Fleece, we'll see it later in the scene. Then what is that Golden Fleece? Then Salario wishes that you, I wish you could have won the gold that he has lost. He is none other than Antonio. Then as Bassanio is reading the letter, Portia notices Bassanio that there are some sharp information in the letter which has made Bassanio's face turn pale. So I think some dear friend must have died, or else nothing else in the world could make the mind of such a person, such a firm-minded man like this pale. So he is growing worse and worse. So therefore, Portia asks Bassanio to share with her what is written in the letter. So Bassanio tells about Antonio to Portia and how he has borrowed money from him and how he owes to him both in money and love. So he also asks Salarino, have all his ships failed to reach the port coming from Tripoli, Mexico, England, Lisbon, Barbary and India? So has not one ship escaped from the dead rocks? So Salario says, not one, my lord. Besides, even if he had money to pay to the Jew at once, the Jew would not take it. He has never seen such a man so eager to destroy another man. He keeps talking to the Duke morning and evening and threatens to take legal action against Antonio. So 20 merchants, Duke himself and noblemen of the highest standing have made efforts to change Shylock's mind and dissuade him from revengeful claim, but all of them were unable to change Shylock's attitude. So Jessica also tells that when she was with Shylock, she heard that Shylock was swearing to Tubal and Sus. They are Shylock's friends who belong to the Jewish race, that even if Antonio gives 20 times the value of the sum, then he would not take it. Rather, he would prefer to take the flesh of Antonio. Portia asks Bassanio, is it your true friend who is in danger?